Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the True North CFL podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Leach. You can follow me on Twitter at aka Jimmy Leach.
I'm Taylor Curry, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at TaylorCurrySK.
And I'm Carter Kennington. You can follow me on Instagram at Carter Kennington.
And Taylor, can you plug our socials?
Absolutely. You can find us on Twitter at True North CFL Pod. You can find us on Instagram at True North CFL Podcast. And our YouTube channel is True North CFL Podcast. So give us a follow and make sure you like.
Awesome. Now, there's no ad for this show, so we're going to just jump right into game one. So, Montreal beat Toronto in a close game, 24-27 in favor of Montreal. Now, from what you guys saw, did Macbeth prove he's the Argos starter going into next year?
I really think he should be. They tried the Franklin experiment and it did not work out well. McLeod against okay defense threw for 340 yards, two touchdowns, like 77% completion rate. So I think he did pretty well. And in my mind, he should be the starter until he's done.
Yeah, I mean, he should be the starter if he stays, because that's the big question. Like, I swear, I keep forgetting. Is he slated to be a free agent?
Yes, he's slated to be a free agent.
Yeah, okay, then if he stays, then yeah, 100% he should be the guy. But I mean, when you've got the numbers to back you up, you really don't want to be putting your talents into, a team with a not a good franchise, like, well, not a good franchise, that's not what I meant.
Fan base?
Um, yeah, fan base, thank you.
Yeah,
You wanna have people cheering for you.
true. I know it's a factor of a lot of people going out west and signing there, just because they actually want to play in front of some people. And I don't know, maybe Macbeth is going to be loyal to them because they're the team that gave him a shot, unlike he was with the Bombers before then. So, yeah, he might. I think he should stick in Toronto because it clearly things work there for him. And yeah, I think he's definitely the best option they have going into next year for sure. Um.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I think that he's earned the job. Like at all those guys, it's not his fault that they lose all these. He's doing what he can, but
Oh,
it's their defense that just lacks so much.
Oh,
the
for
dude's an
sure.
absolute beast, yeah.
Also, yeah, I'd like to point out Franklin's probably gone next year because he doesn't want to be
Oh
there,
yeah,
and I don't think they want him there. So he's
yeah.
probably gonna move on.
I mean, Toronto will offer, BT the bag.
I don't know if they'll offer him the bag, but they'll offer him good money, I think. Now, we had a this guy came out of nowhere this week. Chandler Worthy of the Toronto Argonauts absolutely went off in this game. Is he legit, or do you guys think it's just a one game wonder type of deal?
Well, I'm hoping it's not. I mean, Montreal doesn't have the strongest defense or special teams, but he played pretty well, and it's always good to see another guy shining in the CFL. So I hope he sticks around and does well.
I hope so, but I'm scared that that's not gonna be the case. It's one game, like you said, against the lackluster defense. Who do they play against, next week? Let me check
Ottawa.
here. Ottawa?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Ottawa and they're playing at home too, so if there was, like, a game to for him to, like, prove it, it'd be this one. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm really gonna be watching this week to see, like, because if he can't perform against Ottawa, then yeah, I don't think that there's a lot of consistency there if he can't keep it up for next week at least.
This reminds me of the Will Arndt deal. Wait and see for like 2 weeks. You know, the 2 week rule. See if you can do it
Mhm.
back to back. But he's an injury fill-in guy for Jarrell Walker. Do I think that maybe he's earned a spot if maybe because that receiving core isn't great to begin with, so maybe he's earned a spot in the rotation after that game. We'll definitely have to see how he plays against Ottawa though. Now, should their defense be a concern going into the playoffs right now?
well, I think they should just be concerned in general. Toronto had, like, they shouldn't have been in that game for that long. It's I think they have some concerns going in, especially the fact that you have Edmonton coming back with Trevor Harris, and now after that, if you beat them, you have to go to Hamilton. So I think there's definitely some concerns there.
Oh yeah, it's it's panic time, I think, in Montreal because I mean, it was a missed field goal. It was a 51-yard field goal that was missed, and I mean, that's a tough that's a tough make. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not, saying that that's a gimme, but you know, I'll like people hit those pretty consistently now, I want to say. Especially this season I found a lot of kickers are able to get that 50 plus, like somewhere between 50 and 55, they can usually knock that down. So this could have been an entirely other conversation where, we're talking about how Montreal loses in overtime to Toronto.
yeah.
So, and if that happens, then everyone would be saying, yeah, it's time to panic. So I'm sort of going off that. Yeah, I think it's not a great time for them right now, especially with, like you said, Trevor Harris coming back.
Yeah. So for Montreal, it's just I don't know how their defense has been such an issue because they've got some nice pieces like Tommy Campbell's a great corner, Deontay Evans, Patrick Levels. Like, where is
You
their
know,
secondary so leaky?
yeah, that's the thing. Like, you just it's all over the place. Like, just in general, Toronto should not be putting up that many yards against that team. With
Yeah,
the with the difference in the records and everything, it just shouldn't be happening. So I think, yeah, they got to be worried.
true. Just again, you look on paper, it's a good defense. I don't know where you look and say there's the problem. It's right there, you know. Like the Riders earlier in the year, they had a guy starting named Sullivan Means who teams kind of picked on a lot and were successful against. And once they replaced him, you know, the secondary started to look a lot better. But it's not that situation, I don't think, with the Owls where it's just like, okay, plug this one guy out or take another guy in or whatever, and it's magical. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. On to the second game of the week, which Saskatchewan won against BC 27-19. Now, guys, what I want to know is how did Danny O'Brien look in his first CFL start?
I think he looked pretty good against a pretty decent defense. He only completed 64% of his passes, but he got 170 yards off. He got a touchdown, threw a pick, but I think for a CFL start, that's pretty good, especially in the situation he.
Yeah, he did pretty solid. I mean, let me see here. Yeah, 16 for 25, 171, one touchdown, one interception, 10.7 average. One thing that I want to point out though is that he only had 3 carries but averaging 10 yards per carry, so it seems like he knows when to go, which is also nice to just have that sort of like mental clock going. So that's a good sign. But yeah, I think it was good. I think it was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was impressive. Again, going up against one of the better defenses in the league and making a game of it. That's certainly a nice start for a new QB. Now, was this game too close for comfort for the Riders heading into the playoffs? Shouldn't they have blown out BC?
Well, you think they should have, and I mean, with a rookie quarterback playing, I think the score should have been a little different. But um, I'm a Rider fan, and I've kind of seen it all year that our backfield does good. Like they get interceptions and stuff, but they let up a lot of yards a game. So can't be doing that in the playoffs. So hopefully they can really shut things down as we get to the end of the season here.
Yeah. I mean, you are going up against like you're trying to I get you're still trying to play for positioning, but at the same time you might not want to be like going super like 110% because you don't want injuries, and then you're going against the BC Lions team that has nothing to lose. So like I get the score, but yeah, it should have looked a little better for Saskatchewan, I think.
Yeah, as someone who listens to Saskatchewan radio here, I know a lot of the Rider radio hosts were predicting, oh, Riders will win by 2 touchdowns or 12 points or whatever, but yeah, BC just I think they were better than expected. I think maybe the Riders sold them a little bit short in terms of, you know, what Daniel Bryan can do. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my guess. Yeah, I don't think it's a huge issue. The Riders have been in many close games and they know how to win those. So yeah, that's not a concern for me.
Must be nice.
Oof. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Don't worry. Um, Now how can the Rough Riders capitalize more off turnovers?
Well, they just got to make the big plays happen. I mean, after that, like after you get an interception or a fumble, you got to not just get field goals to make up for it. So, like, especially in the playoffs in the cold weather, turnovers are going to kick you in the butt. So, you really got to be careful on what you do with your time with them.
Yeah, like every possession in playoffs, like it's a godsend, and when you're able to take one of those away from the other team, you gotta capitalize. You have to, because if you don't, they're probably going to start taking them away from you, and they will capitalize playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you look at last week, the Rider Saskatchewan game. If the Riders had executed even one or two more plays in that game, they would have won. So you have to be darn near perfect to beat a lot of these teams that are playoff bound. So yeah, Saskatchewan, they can definitely you know uh get more off turnovers, but at the same time, I don't think they're too bad. So Ottawa versus Hamilton be the third game this week. Hamilton down in the Red Blacks 33-12. Does Ottawa need to look at replacing Rick Campbell in the offseason?
I don't think it's Rick Campbell that needs to go. I think it's their GM. He's the one that lowballed a lot of these guys and made them not want to be in Ottawa, like Trevor Harris and William Powell and Greg Ellingson. So I think the GM's got to go. And like Drew's a good coach. I mean, he won a Grey Cup, or
You
sorry,
mean
Rick
Rick?
Campbell.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I don't know who I was talking about. Rick Campbell. Yeah, I mean, he's won a Grey Cup. He's a good coach in my mind. So I think, yeah, I don't think he.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, for at the beginning of the season, he was doing a fantastic job with everything that he had, but it's like he just didn't have a great foundation for the team this year, so eventually it all started to crumble down.
Yeah.
Um, I think honestly, um, like there's not a lot of coaches that could have done better in that situation. I don't. Yeah, I
No
agree. I don't
doubt.
think he's the problem.
Yeah, I think if a lesser coach was on that team, they probably would be 0-18 this year. Rick Campbell did the absolute best with the talent he was given, and the fact that there was almost no talent being given at certain positions is squarely the GM's responsibility. And I think their GM's name is Marcel Desjardins. Should probably be gone this off season, and who knows? Maybe they bring in Jim Pop since Toronto just kicked him to the curb. What do you guys think of
Yeah.
that? Yeah,
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
yeah, it makes sense because Pop's won Grey Cups. He's been in the CFL. I don't know how many more qualified GMs you're gonna find. What are they gonna pick up? Cavis Reed? No.
Brendan Tammon.
Oh no, no. I mean, he got fired because he didn't have the stones to fire, his friend. So I don't really see that.
Yeah.
Now, based on this game, can we conclude if Will Arndt is real or not? What does Ottawa do for the QB position the rest of the year?
Well, I think you ride it out with Will Arndt. Like, you have nothing to lose. You might as well see what you have in the kid. You know what you have in Jennings and Dominic Davis. Like, I think Will Arndt isn't a starter yet, but if they can bring in a good veteran next year to lead him and like be a good mentor to him, I think he could be their guy of the future, but he still has some time to grow.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, just Jennings and Davis, they've both, they've had their chance on well, Davis less so. Specifically Jennings, he's been a starter before. He knows what it's like. He didn't perform, whatever. This is a perfect time for Arndt to get some real life game scenarios and all that under his belt for next year. And he goes in just a little bit more, confident in himself, saying like, okay, I'm not going in blind in terms of like real game situations. I've been there before now.
Yeah, I kind of
So
agree. It's nice because they view this guy as the future of their team, so it's good to get him some reps. But at the same time, you have to put on a show for your fans. So honestly, I think they need to maybe bring in Drew Willie. Honestly, because he's
Yeah.
better than the other quarterbacks in their stable. I mean, he played
Well, and
last year. Why not?
I just heard him on the Rod Peterson show the other day too, Drew Willie. He said that he still throws every day. He works out every day. He's in football shape, ready to go. The right opportunity just hasn't come. So who knows?
It'd be nice to see him in Ottawa, considering they need a quarterback.
it's
But
that's one of those names though. It's like it's weird because you'd never expect like you tell me a few years ago, um, you know, Drew Willie's eventually going to be a Red Black. That's just one of those things that like I feel like it doesn't work.
true, but
'Cause I
that's
was like,
because you probably would have assumed the Red Blacks would have had one of Henry Burris or Trevor Harris, but their GM screwed that up. So
that's
now
true. That's
they're
fair.
stuck
Yeah.
with, this trio of hot, fiery garbage, so.
Hey, don't be talking about Will Arndt like that.
Hey,
Never
hey,
do okay,
hey!
but not Will
On
Arndt.
most teams, he's a third string or at best a backup quarterback. So, I mean, I think it's a fair statement. But
Yeah, he's young. We'll see what he's got.
I wouldn't call him garbage yet.
I wouldn't
I
say
think he
he's
can still
gonna
prove
always
himself.
be that. He's just young. That's the problem. If he was doing this at Dom Davis's age, I'd be like, yeah, but I guess because he's young, but still, I mean, that doesn't excuse the performance on the field of all the quarterbacks overall. I think it's been bad for
Oh
most of the
no.
year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, fair, but like, come on, man. Okay, so we're gonna do this one a little differently today. So for our next game, Calgary defeated Winnipeg 37-33, and the reason why I'm going first in this is because I have a very important question I want to ask. Who let Strevler back on the field, guys? Who let our scrambling quarterback waddle onto the field, like truck another 20 yards, and then probably aggravate an injury and waddle off the field again? Why was that the move?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
uh,
I was watching that and I was clueless too, but I think kind of like in our notes we have like I just don't think they have faith in Sean McGuire and I don't think Claros was ready, so they're like, we got no other choice but to put you back in. Nichols isn't dressed, so
I mean, you could go to Darvin Adams. He's shown some promise at quarterback this year.
yeah.
I mean
yeah.
that's fair, but he wasn't in the lineup.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah,
Dang.
he's the scratch.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. I think you can see why we made him ask this question. He's definitely got the most enthusiasm about it. But
I wouldn't call it that, but like,
yeah, I would say a certain kind of enthusiasm though. But
yeah, not the good kind.
yeah, I would
I mean,
say
like,
yeah, Zach isn't ready, and I don't think they'll Sean McGuire could perform in that spot. That's my guess.
I mean, here's what I was sort of thinking. As soon as I saw like because they gave McGuire like 2 plays, and
Yep.
on his first play, with like the announcers had said it like with a flick of the wrist, he overthrows Lucky Whitehead by a hair. Like
Ooh.
that, like he's got an arm. Like he threw it like a solid 35-40, and it was only like off, and it was like over by like only a couple inches. Like I just don't get it. I don't get why you
Yeah.
didn't keep him in there like that. That was super impressive. Even though he didn't catch it, like even though it wasn't on target, like perfect, I still really liked that throw because at least it was an overthrow. Because I'm so used to seeing underthrows now that are picked off. At least
Yeah.
this was just an incompletion.
Yeah, I mean, Streller is definitely not the most accurate quarterback, and that's being nice. I would say, yeah, I think you should have left Sean McGuire in that game, or, if Zach has figured out the offense right now, I don't know if they're just saving him for playoffs or what they're doing with him.
See, it's going to be interesting to see who starts this week with Zach taking first team reps today.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give you back the questions.
All right, awesome. So I'll ask this one. What caused the collapse at the end of the game for Winnipeg?
Well, their defense just couldn't stop Calgary in the end. They let up 18 points in the second half, and they didn't score any either. They got their 24 points in the second quarter and two field goals in the second half. So you can't do that against Calgary. It will bite you every time. It's just not good.
Yeah, remember that stat that I brought up a little bit ago when the Bombers outscore themselves their first half points were like 100 more than their second half points.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that still needs to be addressed even more so now. Like, because that's what kills it. Because all these teams, like if you have that first half lead, that's great. The other team's going to go into the locker room and say, "Hey, we need to get this many points now. We need to play to get this." And if we're not adding on to our lead, then that's just keeping their spirits in it, saying like, "Hey, we stopped them once. Hey, it's happening again. They got a field goal that time, but 15 minutes with only 3 points. We can do this," and then they do.
Yeah.
It just it makes me a little irritated.
Well, I know one of the Rider radio hosts has a saying that I'm gonna use here. It was very Winnipeg-ish of Winnipeg to choke this game out at the end, as they often do. They've done it this year against Saskatchewan, and they've done it in the past. They tend to start off really well, and then they slow down at the end of the year. And I think it's just another case of Winnipeg being Winnipeg, in my opinion.
Well, I think too that like Calgary held Willie Jefferson off the stat sheet, and
That's a big
like
piece.
Yeah.
yeah, when that happens, you almost see the hole in their front seven. That if he's not making plays, the rest of them aren't doing that good either. So almost open season.
Yeah. Absolutely, you're not wrong there.
It kind of exposed how weak Winnipeg's zone defense is as well. I figured. I've realized that over the past few games, we tend to give up a lot of room on zone, and then that just like it was like the first pass of the game was like a 50-yard dot or something. It was like just like plays like that consistently happen against us, and it's like we just need to address that too. It really shows
Yeah.
like if we don't have a lot of pressure on the quarterback, our secondary apparently isn't as strong as it may appear.
Well, I mean, if you give Bo time, like they said, they held Willie off the stat sheet. He's just gonna carve up a defense. Doesn't matter if that's Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, BC. It could be anybody.
Yeah, but I'm
So
just stating it. I've noticed this trend for the past few games. There's been a lot of like all of those passes where it's like even if they're just short, we tend to not want the huge play where they burn our corner and go.
yeah,
But it doesn't matter if they're throwing 10 yards consecutively and we're letting them catch those before
it's
we
the
go and try
it's
and
the
make the stop.
it's the Reggie Hall defense of bend but
Oh,
don't
I was gonna
break.
say it.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That
No, that's classic Richie Hall. Like when he was with Saskatchewan, no matter what play it was, the DBs were always 10 yards back. And you see that now in Winnipeg that they're giving them these big zones as soon as that ball snapped. All they have to do is do a 5 yard hook, and the ball's caught every time.
yeah, it's a bend but don't break defense. So I don't know. It works to varying effectiveness. So yeah,
But
obviously it didn't work
it's
against
like
Bo, but I mean,
it's like everybody knows what it is now though. It's like it's not like, it's not a shocker to anyone when that's what we're doing.
true. But all the D coordinators in the league have a bit of a signature. Like some tend to be more aggressive. Like Philip Lawley in Edmonton, he likes to send a lot of blitz packages in his defense. Well, Thorpe is kind of known for different stuff, and yeah, Richie Hall, he's known for bend but don't break. You know, I think he and Thorpe kind of fall into that category. Moving on, in your guys' opinion, does Calgary have the best receiving core in the CFL?
Uh, yes and no. I think they're pretty good, but I think you can't exclude Hamilton with Ackland, Addison, and Brandon Banks out there. See, that's tough. Edmonton's receiving core on paper should be the best too. Saskatchewan's got a really good receiving core with the number one receiver, Shaq Evans. Uh, so I think they're up there, but it's really hard to say if they're number one. Just all the rotation they've had there. It's a lot of their quarterbacking and coaching, I think, that's keeping them at the top.
For me, I'm sort of sat here like if every wide receiver played exactly to their potential this year, then there's no way that Calgary would be in this conversation. I don't think, just with some of the other teams' lineups. But the fact that Calgary, it's like every week there are multiple guys stepping up, and like people, like guys will have big games for them, but it's like there's always consistency there. Like everyone, like on this, like 6 receptions, 121 yards for Huff, but like Bagleton had half the yards but 3 touchdowns, and Eric Rogers 71 yards, Mayala 34. Like I don't think anybody's really trying to like take the spotlight here, which I mean, I don't know if that's an issue for other teams, but I mean, I feel like it's just such a shared responsibility in Calgary that I feel like that's just the most consistent because of it.
Yeah, for me, I think Hamilton is the best receiving core. I think Brandon Banks and Braylon Addison are probably the best 1-2 punch in the CFL. But Rogers and Bagleton definitely aren't far behind them, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah, they do spread it a lot. I just think that's how their system is. So, do I think they're the best? No, I don't think so. It's close though, honestly.
Yeah.
So on to our CFL fantasy segment here. For value picks this week, I've heard you Mayala at just under 3,500, Caleb Hawley at $1,440, Milanovic leader, Calgary's running back at 2,500, and Chandler Worthy of the Toronto Argonauts at 2,500 again. Now, guys, is there anyone I missed or that you would include or like disallow in this? I mean,
No, I don't think so. I think you did pretty good on your list there. I don't have any of these value picks in my lineup this week, but if I had to pick one, I'd be picking one of the guys that you put specifically. Sorry, I'm just lost here. Yeah, well, I don't. Sorry, I don't have a specific guy, but no, you did good.
I mean, me personally, I've had my all up for the past couple of weeks, and I'm thinking about playing him again because it's just a shocker that he's not 5,000 by now.
bro, yeah, just
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
with
he's
or
he's starting to get more and more known, and so it's like you you want to get him now while he's still cheap because I feel like playoff time. If he keeps playing how he's gonna keep playing, hopefully, then yeah, that number's gonna skyrocket soon.
yeah, with the way Urgie's been, and the way CFL Fantasy's been, usually if a guy is even remotely productive, he's over $5,000. But that hasn't been the case. Thankfully, I have two of these guys in my lineup. Actually, I have both Mayala and Milanovic leader. I might change
yeah.
that. We'll see.
I had leader in my lineup, but Calgary just they're so weird with their running backs. They'll start leader, but then their backup will take 12 snaps and leader will only get one. It's tough there.
True. That's why I'm thinking of changing it. But I mean, for 2,500, I think he's a decent risk to take.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And yeah, Chandler Worthy again. He started in place of Darrell Walker, so if you're gonna
I
look
mean,
at him as your value guy, maybe pay attention to the Argo step chart. See if Darrell Walker's back. If he's not, Worthy's a pretty good start against a bad Ottawa defense.
oh, I mean, if I was the Toronto head coach, I'd have Worthy starting next game, regardless of if he's back or not. Like I'd push someone else out to make room for both.
Well, who would you push out? Thinking you gonna push out S.J. Green, Armani Edwards? You gonna move?
It is tough, but
Jimmy
like
Ralph, he could take Jimmy Ralph's spot.
Jimmy Ralph's a Canadian though.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That'd be a difficult decision.
Yeah, I think it's a hard call. The only guy I could see it maybe being is Rodney Smith,
Yeah.
but I mean, MBT does have chemistry with him, so I wouldn't be too keen on taking him out of the lineup. Now, on to our best positional options for this week. For quarterbacks, we have Vernon Adams at just over 11,600. Cody Fajardo at just under 11,000. Sorry. Dane Evans, $3 under 9,700, and McLeod Bethel Thompson at just over 9,100. Any guys you take out or add there?
No, I got McLeod Bethel Thompson in my lineup against the Ottawa defense. I think he could do good. A risky one to take this week would be Trevor Harris. Saskatchewan does let up a lot of receiving yards, and with that receiving core, maybe there's something there, but with it being his first week back, that could be a tough pick.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't, but I'd understand if someone would. Um, yeah, I mean, I've always liked Bethel Thompson in fantasy ever since I've started doing fantasy. He's always been one of those guys where it's like an anomaly where even though his team is all like was almost constantly losing, he was dropping like 30 consistently as well. So I'm always a fan of him. VA is also a good one, but for me, he's just a little bit too overpriced now. I don't like the 1100 on anybody,
Yep.
but
Well, and especially
or the
against Hamilton's
11,000,
defense.
11,000, fix that. But yeah, sorry, keep going.
No, just against Hamilton's defense. Like, that's a high price tag to pay. That's a good defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know. I liked Vernon Adams. Yeah, his price is really steep, so I wouldn't pick him this week. Same with Cody. You don't know what Edmonton's defense is going to be like. Dane Evans, he's the hot quarterback right now, and then Cloud Bethel Thompson he's always a good pick in fantasy, and he has been since he's been starting, really. Now, on to our running backs for this week. I have William Stanback at just over 7,600, Terrell Sutton at just over 6,100, and Shaq Cooper at just over 5,700. Any backs that I'm missing there?
The only ones I might talk about would be William Powell and James Wilder. We haven't seen Saskatchewan hasn't played Edmonton this year, so Powell could have a really good game. He's coming off a fairly good game last week, and James Wilder Jr. against Toronto or Ottawa's defense. I think that's a good matchup there, and he's only 7,400 or 7,500, so I think he's a fair price.
Just give me 1 second. I'm just looking at the stats for Wilder. Yeah, Wilder is like he's sort of slipped under the radar recently. I've found, and I mean, oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong guy. Whoops.
Nice.
But last time they played Ottawa, he
Yeah,
had,
he went
like
off
30
against
points.
Ottawa last
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So-
I totally meant the wrong guy. I'm gonna retract my statement. Switch that to Stanback has sort of fallen under the radar. in my
Yes,
opinion.
well, Stanback's always been
That's
good.
what that is
Um,
what I meant.
all
Like I
good.
feel like just like for the past couple of weeks, he's sorta, he hasn't been as, like nobody's been talking about him as much as people were around like the midway point in the season.
True. With
Yeah.
Powell,
But I think
go ahead.
I'm just saying I think personally I think he might be due for a bounce back game this week. So I mean I'm taking a risk in picking him. I'm not sure what to expect out of him, but like I think that I'm gonna get some solid numbers.
I'm tempted to pick Wilder, but I again, Powell and him are kind of boomer bust players, and
Yeah.
I don't tend to like those in my fantasy lineup. I'd rather have a guy who's consistent, so I have Stanback in there as kind of my RB2.
See, you got to be careful because I think Montreal is going to probably stick with this dual back system now. Like Jeremiah Johnson had more fantasy points than Stanback did last week, and Stanback started.
That's true, but Stanback was coming off an injury. That happened last time he came off injury,
True.
so
That's very true.
yeah, I should have known better there, but at the same time, yeah, I think he'll get the majority of the carries going forward.
Yeah.
I'm surprised neither of you mentioned that I'm not picking Andrew Harris.
No, because I know what
That
you're
price
doing.
tag.
You have to shoehorn that joke in
Of course I
yourself.
do. Yeah, I was saying you're
I'm
not
not
picking him. Maybe you
assisting
guys
you.
know when his drug test schedule is, and I don't. So yeah, there you go. So Andrew Harris is a drug
Oh.
test this week. Don't pick him, guys. You heard it here first. Um,
Ah,
so my wide receivers to pick this week are Reggie Bagleton at just over 11,400, Braylon Addison at 10,700, Eric Rogers at just over 8,500, Shaq Evans at literally $1 under 7,000, Naaman Roosevelt at just over 6,200, my boy Quan Bray at $5,506, and Jalen Acklin at just over 4,500, and Rodney Smith at just over 4,100. Any receivers you would add or take out there?
The only other one I'm talking about is Josh Huff. It's kind of chasing a big game. He had 6 catches for 121 yards last week, but uh, 2 weeks before that, he had 150 yards. So they're starting to use him more, and playing Winnipeg's defense that can be shoddy at times. I think that he could have a good game and actually get some value for a cheaper pick.
yeah, I agree with that, but I'm also sort of like in the middle. Like I really, really want to pick Evans because I really think, like I think like he said like you said on the Waggle. I think he has been very, very consistent on making big plays. So it's like picking him. It's like it's pretty much 7,000, which isn't ridiculous, and like you pretty much know what you're gonna get out of him as well. So it's like one of those safer picks, but it's a good one nonetheless.
Yeah, I like Josh Huff as a pick. At the same time, I don't know. Again, Winnipeg, I don't like that matchup for most receivers, let alone the boundary receiver who goes up against Winston Rose.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's why he's not on my list personally. But yeah, he's a good pick if you want to risk that for sure. Um, Now for the team defense people, there's two this week again. It's gonna be Toronto at 3,200, and if you're feeling risky, you could always go Saskatchewan at $5,821. What do you guys think of those two?
I think they're pretty good. I would add Calgary just in case, because wow, we're not really sure what's going on for the quarterback situation there. If it's Kolaros, he hasn't played basically this year, so there could be some mistakes made there. But other than that, yeah, if you need a defense, Toronto, and if you want to go risky, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one. Like with Saskatchewan being more of a risky pick for defense and that. I mean, again, I'm sort of like I don't like picking defenses, so I don't like to speak on people picking defenses. So I'm gonna leave that mostly to you guys. So I'm just gonna follow you with that. If you that's what you say, then I'm following that.
Yeah, my logic behind picking Saskatchewan is they had a good game last week, 15 points, even though the game was close. And yeah, Calgary, I don't trust against Winnipeg. Just I don't trust them there. I think that's a close matchup, and you should avoid those when picking defenses. You want to get as lopsided as possible, and with Trevor Harris coming back, he's probably going to make a couple of mistakes, and I think Saskatchewan can capitalize on that. And then with Toronto, Ottawa just sucks. So I mean, their defense is just gonna get some points regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now on to our locks of the week. For me, I have Dane Evans at $9,697. Again, he's the hot quarterback right now. He's carving up defenses, and he has a good matchup against Montreal. So I like it.
Yeah. Oh, good pick. I got McLeod Bethel Thompson as my lock this week. going against that Ottawa defense that is terrible. I think he should have a pretty good game. He had 18 points last time, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. So I think he'll play a little better this week. But yeah, I think that's a safe pick.
Okay. So, these two know who my lock is already. But this is an asterisk because he may not even start. And if he does start, like if he doesn't start, I'm obviously going to change it. But at the time being, with the knowledge that we have, my lock is the legendary Zach Collaros,
Oh
baby.
God.
Dude, he is going to be the zombie of the CFL, taking names and taking brains. He's going to be doing. I don't know why he's my lock, but I mean, I just have that feeling, and I mean, I've sort of established myself as like the meme of the fantasy for the group. Yeah, Taylor, I'm taking that because Duron Carter's actually a believable pick now. So it's my title now. So yeah, Caleros is my lock
Oh
for
my.
as long as he will play.
Oh my God. So if Kolaros plays, he's in your lineup.
100%, he's already in there.
Oh my God, that is a risk and a half, man. I'm at a loss for words right now with that pick. I'm just gonna say good luck, and we're gonna
He's gonna drop 25 plus.
25 plus yards or fantasy points.
Probably yards, but like I'm going fantasy points.
I mean, he got injured on the third play of the year, so I'm not that confident. Claros, he wasn't great last year, so.
I mean, it doesn't help that his first hit was from Simone Lawrence.
Oh my God. Yeah, true. I mean,
like it's not. No.
Sorry, Hamilton fans, but he's probably the dirtiest player in the league. You know that definitely that sucked for Rider fans. But hey, they got a better quarterback out of that.
But Caleros is still gonna help you out.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna get this dub.
He's gonna help us out by giving us a free W in playoffs for sure.
I'm waiting on those memes if that happens. So it's like, Zach Caleros for Riders MVP.
Hey, I mean, we know some of the CFL meme pages, so they better get on that when that happens.
Yeah, I already expected it, so I mean that's why I'm okay throwing it out there because I know somebody would have thought of it.
I mean, we've seen Winnipeg; they're choking in the regular season already, so we know it's going to happen in the playoffs. So for the latest in CFL news, as we talked about earlier, Zach Collaros was taking first team reps at Bombers practice. Rough Riders added national defensive back Shamar Busby to their practice roster. And Calgary signed CFL veteran Dexter McCoy, who's been down in the NFL for a little while. Trevor Harris has been activated and will play on Sunday against the Riders. And Cody Fajardo extended through 2021. Rider fans are dancing in the street as we speak. The money in the contract is $400K in cash, and if he hits all his incentives, it goes up to $450,000. What do you guys think of that deal for Cody Fajardo?
I think it's a good deal. They didn't overpay. They didn't underpay him. It makes him want to be here. Like him and his wife are excited to be here, so that's good news. No, I think it's great for. I think it's great for both sides.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really I'm happy for Fajardo. I'm glad that he finally gets his chance to be like the guy in a place. It's like it reminds me of like when Matt Nichols got his shot with the Bombers, where it's like backup steps in, and I mean like for the most part, he didn't. I don't think Matt Nichols had the same impact as Fajardo, but like to a point. It's like he came in as a backup and like started doing really well, and he finally got that nod where it's like, okay, this team is yours, run with it. And I'm glad that he got that chance because he deserves it.
Yeah, I'm glad. Hearing all the interviews from Saskatchewan media with the guy, he seems like a very genuine person, and I think he's gonna fit in great in Saskatchewan. He seems like kind of guy that you would just run into there, like your typical Saskatchewan dude. And I think it's the perfect place for him. He said a big factor in his decision was he wanted to play in front of fans and kind of have those memories. Whereas in again, as we talked about before, some of those other markets have horrible fan bases. He liked that, and he acknowledged that he took a little bit less money in order to put pieces around him. So I think it's a good deal for the team, and I think it's a good deal for Cody too. And I'm glad that the Riders got him signed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on to our next discussion part of news. The CFL released its list of eligible rookies for Rookie of the Year, and we have compiled. We would vote for this list. This is going to be a spoiler alert for our award show. Maybe some of our votes will change as the season prolongs. We don't know. Um, and yeah, one of the big differences, because some people might say, why is someone like Quan Bray or Lucky Whitehead not on here? The criteria says that they couldn't have played a game in the NFL or have any experience there. Well, not any experience, but they couldn't have played an NFL regular season game, which Quan Bray and Lucky Whitehead both have. So that's why guys like that aren't on this list. These are pure raw rookies. So for my pick, I have Jalen Acklin. He got into a very talented Hamilton receiving core off of, I believe, an injury, and kind of earned his spot there and is now a regular starter at the boundary wide receiver, which is definitely a very tough spot, especially for a rookie to come in there and be like, "Hey, I'm the guy here." Um, so yeah, and he's kind of Dane Evans' safety valve, so I think he's definitely earned the Rookie of the Year nod.
Yeah, well, that's a good pick. I myself am going with Kenny Lawler of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He leads the team in receiving yards. He's got 4 catches over 30 yards. He's got 3 touchdowns. He's catching most of the passes that are thrown at him. So I think he's having a great year for a rookie, and especially with the inconsistency of throwing for the Bombers. I think he's done pretty well for himself. So that's my pick.
For me, I'm going Nate Hawley, linebacker for the Calgary Stampeders. Um, I'm looking at like when you look at his stats, it's like some of these numbers just pop out at you. It's like 8 tackles against Winnipeg, week 9, followed up with 9 tackles. Like, and these are just defensive, so not counting the special teams tackles. So 9 tackles against Montreal in week 10. He also had like 7 against Montreal week 17. Like, he's always a presence on the field. So that's why he gets my nod.
Yeah, I like Nate Hawley. He contributes on both teams and defense, which is huge. For me, he's one of those system guys that Calgary has that they can just, even if someone goes down, they can just plug him in and he'll play. So
Yeah.
that's why I like Nate Hawley. So on to the game time questions for next week's games. Let's start with Calgary playing in Winnipeg. Who should start at quarterback for Winnipeg against Calgary?
Well, I just want to see how it plays out, so I'm saying Collaros. Yeah, I just want to see how interesting that could be.
You know who I want to be starting against Calgary.
He was your lock in fantasy, yes.
Heck yeah, boy.
It's time for the Zach attack to hit Winnipeg.
He's going to be a legend because he won't be around for long.
No,
but
that's
for real,
some
though,
shade right there.
No. Oh my god, I really hope nobody that I know from any CFL
You-
fans watch this episode.
You better hope he doesn't get injured
I'm
now,
gonna
or
get-
else that's going to look really bad.
No.
Well, you heard it here
But,
first.
I
He
mean-
won't last long, Carter Kennington.
I mean, obviously I'm hoping the best for him, not just because he's on my team, but like the dude deserves a break. Like give him this game, let him start.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I think they should do it for Zach just because they brought him in to kind of compete, so they should kind of see what he has. And if Shrevler is nursing an injury, just for the sake of keeping him healthy, even you might want to start Klaus just to see what he has.
Well, yeah, you got like Winnipeg has a bye week the last week, so you really want to go into that not knowing what Zach can do, or do you want to see what he can do?
Exactly.
I
Now,
mean, what are the
go ahead.
sorry, could I just
Yeah, go for
before
it.
we move on? What are the odds of Winnipeg, getting a home playoff spot? They're not crazy anymore.
Yeah,
It's like
No, Saskatchewan's
so
got to lose out.
yeah,
yeah, Saskatchewan's got to drop both. I mean, like it's not unbelievable to say that Saskatchewan could drop this one, but I mean, I still think they win. I think they probably win both. I mean, it's hard to tell, and I mean, it could happen, but like, yeah, you want to know what Caleros can do.
true. Now, for the Hamilton in Montreal game, will Montreal's weak passing defense lose them this game?
Um, I really hope that Montreal wins, and I think they can, but I think that it's really going to hurt them, and it skewers their odds to lose that game.
Yeah, I don't. I like. I think. How should I word this? Like Montreal could win, but I don't think that they will win because Hamilton, like Dane Evans, has just been like the shock of the year, and so being like how he's able to just light up defenses sometimes, majority of the time now. Um, I think that yeah, he's going to take full advantage of Montreal.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think it's definitely going to hurt them, but I don't think it's going to lose them the game, in my opinion. Because it's probably just going to be more of a shootout against, Hamilton and Montreal. Probably going to be the shootout of the week, so get your fantasy players in for that game. Now, the last game of the week, Saskatchewan is in Edmonton. Will Edmonton get the win with Trevor Harris back this week?
I think it's going to be really tough, and there'll be a lot of mistakes. So I'm going to say no, but it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like. I think Sask is just too strong right now. They're riding too much of a momentum wave. Plus, I think they still even have something to prove. I think they feel they have something to prove after that last game. After it being closer than they probably would have wanted it to be. So yeah, I think they're going to come in with the fire.
Yeah, absolutely. With that happening, I just think that Trevor Harris isn't the be all end all. Before he got hurt, they hadn't beaten a team over 500, so it's not like Trevor Harris has, flipped his team into a shoehorn into the Grey Cup. But yeah, I think Saskatchewan wins even with Trevor Harris back.
Now, I got a question about the Toronto Ottawa game.
Sure.
What team do you guys think throws more interceptions?
Um. Hmm.
Like, I think
That's
Ottawa will. Like, I just think Will Arndt will have a little struggles against the Toronto defense, but with the news finding out in between segments that uh, Toronto's going to be rotating quarterbacks, who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah. That.
yeah.
Yeah, we obviously
Uh,
just heard that. Taylor, do you want to change your lock?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to officially change my lock to. I'm going to change it to Dane Evans instead against the Montreal defense. They put up a lot of yards, or they get a lot of yards against them. So I'm going with Dane.
All right, sorry, we just heard that as we were off air after the fantasy segment, so I'll let Taylor change that. Now, Carter, you
Thank
were
you.
saying?
um. I'm just sort of saying it's weird because I could see each side throwing like one because I think it'll actually like I don't think there'll be a lot of picks thrown just because I think Ottawa will be very conservative with the type of passing plays that they do, and I mean I think with I don't think MBT is going to throw any picks, and I mean it's difficult, but with them switching out quarterbacks, I think one of the others slip up.
Yeah, like if James Franklin's playing, watch out.
I don't know. I think if they're rotating, they may throw more. But I think if we're talking individual quarterbacks, I think Will Arnett's probably going to throw two or three picks at least. So I think it'll be close to. It'll be close to see who throws more picks. In my opinion. Sorry, did I skip that game during the segment?
Uh, yeah, we just went over to the other game. This one's like the least important.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
mean,
Yeah.
to be fair,
It's in our notes. I skipped over it. That's my bad.
It's just the garbage bowl 2.0 again.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
it's a nothing game.
Yeah. I did. Nonetheless, though, I didn't mean to skip it because I like to do this in order. But yeah, I slipped up and skipped it. That's my bad. The original question I'll ask though to make up for it: will either team score more than 20 points?
Well, and with Toronto announcing again that they're rotating quarterbacks, I think it's going to be a really low scoring game. Over 20 is a stretch for either team, I think.
yeah, I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's gonna be a fun one to watch, does it? Like,
No.
No. Yeah.
like I feel like I'm just gonna be bored watching that game because it's not even like it's two great defenses going at it. Like, it's just sort of, eh.
The two worst teams in the league, yeah.
Dumpster Fireball 2
And
coming up.
it's kind of like going to a concert where you don't like the opening act, but then the concert's great at the end. Ottawa and Toronto are opening up for Saskatchewan, Edmonton.
Are you throwing shade at the guy who opened up for Garth Brooks?
No, no. I don't even know who opened up for Garth Brooks.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I know that concert was just around Saskatchewan, so I just had to make that joke real quick. But yeah, for me, if it was just NBT and Will aren't going at it, I would say Toronto would score over 20. But with the announcement that they're rotating, yeah, this game is gonna be boring though. The only exciting things are gonna be the limited time NBT will get, and I want to see Michael O'Connor, the Canadian quarterback, play and how he has progressed since the preseason because he's a guy that was really hyped up in the Canadian draft, and I just want him to do well being a Canadian quarterback because I hate that narrative that Canadian can't play.
Me too.
Yeah.
So on to our predictions for this week. I have what is it? I have Calgary beating Winnipeg. Again, it's Calgary. I'm always gonna pick Calgary, especially if Winnipeg kind of choking away that last game. I think maybe it might manifest psychologically with them. So I think Calgary wins. I have Montreal beating Hamilton. Montreal's at home, and I just really like their team in general. I have Toronto beating Ottawa in the Dumpster Fire Bowl Part 2, or actually it's probably Part 3. They probably played each other 3 times, but
Yeah, probably.
yeah, it's been the Dumpster Fire Bowl recently, so there you go. And then you have Saskatchewan versus Edmonton. I'm gonna take Saskatchewan. Again, even with Trevor Harris, the Eskimos hadn't beaten a team over 500, so we got to roll with Saskatchewan.
There's truth in that stat. I got Calgary beating Winnipeg this week, just with the unknown quarterback situation in Winnipeg. I think it's not looking good. I think Hamilton narrowly loses to Montreal in Montreal. It'll be a good, close game. Ottawa, Toronto. I'm picking Toronto just because you have to pick somebody for that game. And
No, you don't.
You could pick a tie. You could pick a tie.
The last game, I'm taking Saskatchewan and Edmonton. Seems like Saskatchewan's finally finding their groove and they're staying consistent. So I just think with Trevor Harris missing like half the season, and like you said, Jimmy, that they haven't beat like a team over 500, I just don't see it happening. So I'm taking Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going Winnipeg over Calgary, and like legitimately, I do think that the defense will be a lot, specifically the defensive line will be a lot more prepared going into this one. I'm going with Hamilton over Montreal. Like you said, that's a really close game, so I think that one could really go either way. Um, I have Toronto beating Ottawa. Like you said, I don't trust these teams to tie, and someone has to win. So um, so I'm going with Toronto, and then yeah, I think Sask is the most consistent team in the league right now, so I'm going with them over Edmonton.
Yeah, fair enough. That concludes the show. You guys can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Listen to us on those platforms. You just search up True North CFL Podcast, you'll find us. And once again, Taylor, can you plug our social media?
Yeah, we are on Instagram at True North CFL Podcast. We're on Twitter at True North CFL Pod, and our YouTube channel is called True North CFL Podcast. So give us a like and subscribe, and make sure to listen and tune in to our Instagram, our Twitter, and let us know what you think of the show and if you have any questions.
Definitely look into our social media because we're going to be posting a lot more on there and being more active. So, yeah, definitely give us a follow, share the show with your friends. And that concludes the show. This is the True North CFL podcast signing off.